What's going on? So this is an interesting one. Boys to Men on their second album wanted the songwriting production team Tim and Bob to produce their stuff. Now let me give you a track record about Tim and Bob. They worked with a lot of people, including Tamia. They worked with I just said yeah, it's gonna come back to me. Cisco, amongst others. They won 3 Grammys, 12 nominations. And the reason why I kind of paused there for a moment is because I was so busy thinking about who they work with. And I wanted to say Split Ends because they were from Illinois, they're from Peoria, and they definitely had an R. Kelly vibe. They were around that same time. They were out since '93. Anyway, they started hitting back then, and they were wanting Boyz II Men wanted them, but Gerald Busby, who was the label president at Motown at the time, said nope. You got to have a name brand. So we have to enlist Babyface and Jam and Lewis. And I'll Make Love to You was the first single, which was a huge hit because it was the first cousin, second cousin, third cousin, brother, sister to End of the Road, which Babyface produced, wrote. So anyway, another jack of Tom Bales. But anyway, no, who's listening like that? But anyway, they weren't feeling it initially, but it was a huge hit. You remember Dwayne Martin was in the video playing the security in the video. Remember? Huge song. Couldn't do no wrong with the Boyz II Men Babyface musical marriage. And then on Bended Knee with Jam and Lewis. So they didn't get their way. And it was kind of ironic because they kept the format with Babyface on some songs and some stuff. And they did a little bit of production and what have you. But it was interesting that Gerald Busby, because the record companies back in the day, you had to have the name brand or the sound. I don't care. Because they probably looked at them like they were a fluke. And let me say this too. If you weren't around then, you wouldn't even think about that today per se, because you don't have the same writers and producers. You don't have that kind of name brand situation today because everybody can do it in their own basement or on their phone or in their yard. Back then, the cats that were carrying the weight were the name brands. So back then, you wanted to have the names to sell said projects. And especially when you had an act like Boyz II Men who went diamond. They were selling records out the chunk. The first 2 records sold a chunk. So I remember when the Christmas record they did with Brian McKnight, that went really well. But End of the Road was so huge, they brought an EP out on it. That's back when the record companies would manipulate when you had compact disc, vinyl, cassette, you were selling it. And they were huge right there. They sold a chunk. That thing